Hello, this is Amy from AJC Magic TV, and we are going to go possibly take a ride on the Gateway Clipper. I'm just going to show you the boats that they use, then I'm going to pause the stream. We're going to go sailing on the three rivers of Pittsburgh, the Monongahela, Ohio, and Allegheny River, and you'll get a view of the city from the water. Plus, I'm just curious how all the signal will hold out. But down here is the Gateway Clipper dock. Hello, Mike Wheeler. I'm gonna see about going on one of these Gateway Clipper cruises. You'll be able to see the city of Pittsburgh. I wanted to set up the stream. I'm gonna go ahead and pause it, and I will be back shortly. I just need to pick up my tickets. So if you can hang on a moment, I'll be right back. But this is what that dock area looks like. Hello, Penguin Master. I'm gonna take a trip on the Gateway Clipper. So when I go pay, and I'm gonna pause the stream for right now, and I'll be back. I didn't know you were home, Penguin Master. I probably would have came and got you a Colton. I hope I'm back. I'm sorry about that. I just needed to pick up my stuff and make sure. I'm just gonna go ahead and get in line. We're just getting ready to board. They're going to want a picture, so I'll have to put you guys down for a second. But this is the boat dock area we're going on the river cruises. This will be about an hour's long cruise. Yes, I'm back. I'm going to be getting a quick picture here.
Hi guys, how many's in your group today? Just you? Would you like to stop for a photo? Sure. Alrighty. Stand right behind there. Hi guys. Alrighty. Just you? Yes. Right. Alright. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry about that, everyone. They do pre-pictures. I'm still trying to get set up with the microphone, so I do apologize. We'll be going on an hour-long cruise on the three rivers of Pittsburgh. Just curious. It's kind of like a surprise stream. I'm just trying to see how different things around Pittsburgh actually go. Hello, This Our Dream. Hello, Penguin Master, Mike Wheeler. And Little Lynn 715. I'm just curious what this will be like. Eventually we'll do some other types of items around Pittsburgh. It looks like we're going to go to that further boat. This is one of their bigger, larger boats that they use for events that I'm standing in front of. But we're going to go to this far one called the Three Rivers Queen boat. I do thank anyone who has joined the stream. My name is Amy and I'm from AJC Magic TV. And please hit the like button. Please share out the video or the stream, because we will be on at least an hour as long as it doesn't start lagging everywhere. And enjoy. And if you're new, please subscribe. I'll probably try and go up to the second level. Hopefully there'll be some room by the time I get on. Probably shouldn't have waited too long to get into the line. Plus I'm not sure how this will stream once we're out on the water, so. Hi. Thank you. But this river that we're on right now is the Monongahela River. As you can see.
Can you stop the traffic for a second? Will you stop? Are you on there too?
It's fairly windy up on the top deck. That is the city of Pittsburgh over there. It's actually hard for me to see the chat, so bear with me. I know I do apologize. Go down here so that way I can see the chat a little bit better. Oh, you're welcome, Mike, and everyone else who's watching the stream. Yeah, it's very hard for me to read the chat. It's like glare. Right now I'm at the back of the boat and kind of undercover so I can kind of see. Right there is the Fort Pitt Bridge that takes you over into the city after you go out of the tunnels. That's one of the things. Pittsburgh is a city of bridges, and it has the three rivers, the Monongahela. Down there where the boats and everything are in the far distance, that's the West End Bridge, and that's on the Ohio River. And then we'll be going on the Allegheny River. Oh yeah, there was a storm that came in to Pittsburgh last night. This our dreams, either Angela or Jeff. Yeah, we'll be going by Heinz Field, which is the home of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and PNC Park, which is the home of the Pittsburgh Pirates. If you guys want those chairs, you can
In the event of an
here.
emergency, the exits are located at the bow and stern on all 3 decks. Life jacket lockers are found in the following locations: on the first deck bow, second deck stern, and on the third deck bow. Life jacket lockers are clearly marked and donning instructions are located inside. Also, there are ring boot located on the first deck bow, second deck stern, and on the third deck bow. If an emergency develops, the captain will announce instructions and procedures. If you have any questions concerning the safety or operation of the vessel, please feel free to contact any of our uniformed deck crew.
I actually went down
All
a
of
deck
the
because
exits
it's
lead
kind
on
of
off
windy.
the vessel.
So,
Separate sills, so watch your
up
step as you
top.
travel through the doors. Please take your time on the stairs and use the handrails. Due to Pennsylvania state law, smoking is prohibited.
It's actually quite
inside the
windy
vessel.
here today.
We have restrooms located on the first and second deck bow. That is the front of the boat. We also have a cocktail bar on the second deck bow. A cocktail bar and snack bar on the first deck bow.
We'll take a look inside.
Left side of the boat is known as
boat
the
here,
port, the
real
right
quick.
is the starboard, and the back of the boat is known as the stern. Thank you.
Their droid factory video. That's the one thing I need to learn to edit, but I don't at this point. Hi, Jeff. This is with the inside, and this way I kind of took a look inside. So I could read the chat a little bit, and I'll go back outside in a moment. Yeah, I live pretty close to Mount Lebanon, Pennsylvania. We'll go up to the front of the boat.
My last trip, they had kids on here. Well, the parents ate in front of the kids come over there.
That's okay, thanks. The area where the Gateway Clipper fleet docks is. Where it docks is called Station Square. So if you've ever visited Pittsburgh, they have Station Square where the Hard Rock Cafe. There's a Brazilian Texas steakhouse called the Texas de Brazil. They used to have a lot of shops and everything, but they're totally reimagining that area and putting apartments in another area. So not quite sure what they're rebuilding inside the actual freight house area where they used to have shops. There are a few bars and restaurants that used to be housed in there also. I do welcome anyone to the stream. This is Amy. I am on the Gateway Clipper fleet. Gonna take an hour-long scenic cruise of the Rivers of Pittsburgh. Right now we're on the Monongahela River. And I do apologize, it's hard for me to see the chat out here. But when I step inside, I will come back in and say hello, and read some of the chat. Over here that you're looking at there is the city of Pittsburgh. That's the downtown area. And as you can see, the U.S., well, it used to be the U.S. Steel Building. Now it's a UPMC / Steel Building type of. When I grew up, it was always the U.S. Steel Building. Now UPMC owns part of that building. The bigger glass castle type of building is the PPG Center. And they have several buildings. And at Christmas time, they do have the ice skating rink in the PPG courtyard, plus then they have the various Santa Clauses around the world. I do have a video of that area on my channel. And then this Christmas, of course, I'll probably go down again because they do a German Christmas market starting like the week before Thanksgiving all the way through the day before Christmas Eve. And it's pretty neat. So, and they also have a giant nativity set that's designed right after the one that is at the Vatican and in Rome, Italy, at Vatican City.
At that time, Pittsburgh was a very dirty and smoky city, having just come off of the steel boom at the height of the Industrial Revolution. Alcosan was tasked with cleaning up the waterways that surrounded the city. Indeed, John Connolly said once upon a community referred to them as the lifeblood of the city. So, about everything after Jack
To the right side is the south side of Pittsburgh.
said, let's get a vote. Show people the city. Well, they did just that. Found a fishing vessel located in Lake Erie known as the Titanic. They made the purchase and decided to bring the Virgin Path to Pittsburgh. The only issue was Virgin Path was too large to bring by way of train. Now you figure Erie's about 2.5 hours away by car. Well, they had to sail through the Great Lakes and over 2,200 obscure river miles, a journey that would take 31 days and 31 nights to complete. Well, they did just that. On May 16th, 1958, the vessel did arrive here in the city of Pittsburgh. The very next day, she was christened, and the Gateway Clipper left on her journey. Sightseeing tour like we're on today, it's Scouts of America. Like John Connolly's vision turned out to be a pretty good idea after all. Gateway Clipper now has 5 operational vessels, and together with a combined passenger total of over 1,700 passengers. Everything from shuttle to and from the ball games, lunches, brunches, dinners, private events, business charters, weddings, you name it, the Gateway Clipper fleet does it. Now, apart from the history of our beautiful fleet, our beautiful city also has a very unique, diverse history. I'm here to tell you a little bit about that today on your How Pittsburgh Became Pittsburgh tour is your very knowledgeable narrator, Alex.
Thank you, Captain, and thank you, everybody, for coming out to see the good side of the city, hitching a ride on the Riverboat Queen. Some of you got that. As the captain said, this is our historical sightseeing cruise, but before I begin, quick announcement to make. First of all, my voice can be heard anywhere on the boat. You are free to move around as you please. And there is a refreshments and cocktail bar on the second deck, refreshments, snacks, and cocktail bar down on the first deck. Now, with that said, we'll begin. In the 1600s, the King of England was signing land grants for the American colonies. At the time, he owed a significant debt to a gentleman by the name of William Penn. To absolve that debt, he promised Penn that his son, who confusingly enough was also named William Penn, would be the recipient of a very generous land charge.
Jeff, I made an R2-D2. I actually did it in the original colors of R2-D2.
Penn originally considered naming this grant of territory New Wales, later settling on the name Pennsylvania. Penn's
welcome to the stream, Keystone 76 ARJ.
The first settlers to arrive
Dylan Duddleson,
Trouble was, nobody
Mike
had
Wheeler,
finished a survey of the New World at that
the
point.
Penguin Master, the
King
Friendly
was signing
Gamer.
A lot of land grants to a lot of people with no clue where the borders were going to be drawn. For example, the Ohio Land Company from Virginia, which included members of George Washington's family, were pretty convinced that their charter included Pittsburgh and not Penn. making things even more
Sorry,
complicated.
Dylan. I'm a born Pittsburgher, and I'm gonna love the Steelers no matter what. I
The
do
Preds
like
were the
some
first
other
to,
football
quote,
teams.
discover, unquote, this region, so they assumed it belonged to them, which obviously came as a huge shock to the Native Americans who have been living here for over 15,000 years. So, what exactly made this area worth fighting over? Well, two answers. The first of which is behind you. Behind Station Square Center is Mount Washington.
I am actually on
And
the
within
Gateway
that
Clipper
mountain is the
fleet,
Allegheny County
and
Coal
we're
Seam,
doing
one of the
a
most
city
valuable
hour-long
mineral
tour
deposits in North
on the
America.
boat. I'll have to think about it,
It was said back in the
Dylan,
days
because
of
I don't
coal
really
was
go
so
live a
plentiful,
lot.
you could just crack it off the side of
And
the
once
mountain
the
and
stream,
toss
I
it
can't
down the
really do it
riverbeds.
right now with the stream
Which is the
because
second
I'm on
answer.
Streamlabs. So
Pittsburgh's three river
when I
connections.
get back onto the regular YouTube,
The
I'll
Europeans realized
see about
early
that.
on. Whoever controlled these three rivers would control trade in the New World. Of course, in the 1700s, these rivers were not as impressive as they are today. Back then, they could only be navigated by boats for 3 months out of the year when they flooded for the rainy season. The rest of the year, they were so shallow you could walk from one bank
Yeah,
to the
Jeff,
other
I
and
did
not get
a
your chest wet.
R2D2 type of droid.
In 1816, the Monongahela Trading Company put a series of locks and dams on the river that guarantee us 16.5 feet of water throughout the year.
Yes, if you are new to the channel, please make sure you give me a thumbs up, subscribe. Share out the stream. Yeah, right now I can't make any mods because the way the Streamlabs, it's not letting me do it at this point. But when I get it back onto the YouTube, I will decide on that. I do have 2 other mods.
I would have assumed that I was in the first act of a
But at
horror
this-
movie and about to be eaten by something ancient and evil.
And I don't really live stream that often because I don't live in Florida. So
He dug deeper and discovered a
yeah,
place
possibly,
night.
Dylan.
He knew
I have to
that they
decide
could
how many
never
more
back
I'm going to
up
add. I do have 2 other ones right now,
more to the site.
and I know one isn't available at this point because they're still driving home, and I'm not sure where the other one is, whether he's working or not.
Perfect archaeologist to excavate the site. He found that man in 1973. Dr. James Adamasio from the University of Pittsburgh. Of course,
Yes, I'm very glad I got to meet you, Mike. And I'll tell you what, it was a very heartfelt meetup, and to actually see those guys,
approximately 16,000
it was
years
awesome.
old, and only abandoned about 700 years ago.
Yeah,
The ancient
don't live
tribes
in
of
Florida yet.
hunter-gatherers who made their
I would
homes
love to go
there
back and live
were
there,
short,
but
wooden spearheads and
right now
knives
with my
like they did in the
parents still
sandstone
here,
mountain
and I had some medical
overlooking the
issues,
cemetery. They were safe from flooding,
that
still had access to
I'll
fresh
probably
water.
end up just staying here unless something goes. But believe me, I would love to go back because I did live here in the early
In
90s.
1905, a Sharpsburg resident named John Klaus
We'll go back
discovered
up
a
front.
mastodon tusk in the city of Pittsburgh. Mammoths and mastodons roamed this region up until their extinction at the end of the last ice age.
I won't be
about
able to
10,000
read the
years
stream
ago.
whenever I go outside because it's kind of bright.
And on one more fossil-related note, around the turn of the millennium, a geology student from the University of Pittsburgh was doing a survey out by Pittsburgh International Airport when he found a rock that had a fossil bone sticking out of it. He took it to the paleontologists at the Carnegie Institute, who successfully identified that this was the skull of a previously
Up on that hill, it's
undiscovered
called Mount
species of
Washington.
sauropod.
There's some great views of the city, so if you ever visit Pittsburgh, make sure you take one of the inclines up and go up to Mount Washington. You can also drive up there and park along, and they have some overlooks too. But if you were staying down here or wherever, you could take one of the inclines that they have there and walk along and get the views of the city from up above. If I have time, maybe after this, maybe I will take a ride up, and that way you can see the bird's eye view of the city.
State Park, where our city was originally founded. Let me back up a little bit so I can tell you a quick story.
Right ahead of us is the Fort Pitt Bridge and Fort Pitt Tunnel. When you come out of that tunnel, it has one of the greatest views new visitors or anybody. We get a great view coming into the city. It's one of the best ones, and we have several hockey players who have come here, and that's usually the first thing they do when they drive in. It's driving through the Fort Pitt Tunnel, across the Fort Pitt Bridge to see the city of Pittsburgh onto the console center, or the PPG Arena as they call it now, since console.
Washington reported back that aside from the French office report telling him to pound sand, he found the area of the point was perfect for a fort. So in February of 1754, Dinwiddie sent Washington and his men back to the region with orders to build Fort Prince George at the point. Unfortunately, they weren't able to get very far in the effort before the French figured out what they were up to and kicked them out of the area. The French then used that opportunity to build Fort Duquesne at the point, an outline of which is visible in the grassy lawn at Point State Park. Washington and his men returned later that year for another attempt at building Fort Prince George. They learned that a French party was on the way to intercept them, so Washington set up an ambush. He and his men succeeded in killing 13 French soldiers and capturing another 21. Although, all things considered, they probably should have taken more prisoners. One of the dead officers, Joseph Bouillon de Jumonville, kind of a big deal in the French army. Fearing retaliation, Washington and his men began building Fort Necessity in the present-day Fayette County. Again, though, they did not make it very far in the effort before the French surrounded them. Following an all-day battle, Washington was forced to surrender. As part of the terms of the surrender, he agreed to sign a confession in French, which, by the way, he couldn't read or speak, stating that he had ordered Jumonville's assassination.
This is Point State Park. That's right over here, and that's what he's talking about. It's very significant to the French and Indian War. You could see the Fort Pitt blockhouse, which was back from the time of the French and Indian War, and the one modernized type of building is the Fort Pitt Museum. So you can come down to the Fort Pitt State Park or Point State Park and go into the museum and take a look at the blockhouse and kind of enjoy. And they built this fountain at the end of it.
With the arrival in Virginia of Major General Edward Pratt, bringing with him 800 men and 2,000 muskets. Braddock, one of the assistants of somebody.
I do welcome everyone to the stream. I'm trying to be a little bit quiet because I don't want to disturb a lot of people. But I am on the Gateway Clipper fleet and taking an hour-long City of Pittsburgh tour. The yellow stadium there, that is Heinz Field, home of the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Pitt Panthers.
Braddock put together an army of 1,200 men. He marched them west to the point, counting on their numbers to easily overwhelm the French, but that never actually.
And you can see the fountain there.
Braddock's men were marching through.
They actually have a rib fest going on, a music and rib fest now going on around the sides of the Heinz Field. And there's the Carnegie Science Center, because Andrew Carnegie is from around here and has a lot of things. That's where Carnegie Mellon, where Andrew Carnegie and Andrew Mellon.
Washington brought as many of the troops back home as he could, and was rewarded for his service by being appointed at the tender age of 23 years old, a commander of all Virginia troops.
And there's also the Rivers Casino, so if you're into gambling and visiting Pittsburgh and you don't have your family, just a good night out. But that's called the North Shore over there.
The English and the French officially declared war on one another. Here in the New World, we called it the French and Indian War, whereas in Europe, they called it the 7 Years' War. You'll never guess how long it lasted. For the first 2 years of the conflict, the French had the advantage. But in the summer of 1758, the English began a series of victories.
This point here, Monongahela River, which is that river, and the Allegheny River here as that river where looks like we're going to be turning forms into the Ohio River, which then goes into the Mississippi River and on to the Gulf of Mexico.
And members of the Cherokee and Catawba tribes. Intelligence reports informed that only 200 French soldiers were stationed at the point, suffering from low morale and food supplies. Additionally, Fort Duquesne was not built to withstand heavy cannon fire. So, armed with that information and some extra heavy
Thank you for joining the stream, Mike Wheeler. Be safe with the storms or whatever's going to be hitting your way.
The night before the planned attack on Fort Duquesne, Native American scouts reported in. The French have learned the Fort's incoming invasion force.
Thank you, Mike, for joining. And be safe. But there's Heinz Field.
No Englishman would ever get his hands on it. Well, that didn't bother Forbes too much.
Yes, there's the Science Center.
Territory for England anyway.
We'll probably go a little ways down the Ohio River, but I'm not sure how far. Usually, even this Allegheny River, they only go down to the convention center, I believe, and turn around. And they also have other cruises where you can go through the lock and dams, which are up further up the rivers. That you can go on. They have dinner cruises and a chicken and barbecue. You just have to check the schedule. It's different times of the year. They have
in its time, Fort Pitt was the largest military installation in the New World. A giant stone pentagon that took up most of what is modern-day Point State Park on your right. Each point had a tower, bastion.
Please make sure you hit the like button, share out the stream, and subscribe if you're new, and especially if you're watching the replay and you're new to the channel.
Siege of Fort Pitt in the summer of 1763. This wasn't even part of the French and Indian War, so
I do thank everyone who has joined the stream. Hopefully it's not lagging, because it's hard to tell on my end. So
showing up, claiming ownership over every piece of land they look at and trying to shoot everything in it. We'd really like them all to just leave forever if possible. So they surrounded the area and attacked everybody coming or going from Fort Pitt. The idea was to starve the soldiers out, which might have actually worked had it not been for the arrival of Colonel Henry Bouquet that August.
oh, that's good to know. I was wondering if it would or not.
Also the year that the French and Indian War ended. With England victorious, France packed up and left the region, never to return. With no hostile foreign army to defend against, Fort Pitt soon fell into disrepair and was eventually decommissioned. It was called back into service, however, during the American Revolution, and in 1777 it became an American fort under Brigadier General Edward Hand. The Revolution did complicate things on the domestic front, though. The states spent a lot more time arguing amongst themselves over whether or not they felt like paying taxes and where to draw their borders than they did fighting the British. In fact, it wasn't until 1780 that Virginia and Pennsylvania finally came to a conclusion on their mutual borders and drew the state lines we use today. After the Revolution, Fort Pitt was once again decommissioned. Its official end came in the 1790s, when it was replaced by the smaller but more modern
Hello, Penguin Master.
present-day Fayette County, and Fort Pitt itself was torn down and sold off brick by brick. Now, at this time, we're going to be taking a short break from the microphone, but I will be available up here on the third deck to answer any questions that you may have. Don't worry, you can totally approach me. I've had all my shots. Feel free to stretch your legs, get something to drink. The more of our signature cocktails you drink, the funnier I'm going to get. And I will be back in a few minutes to tell you more about what happened to Pittsburgh after the Revolution, starting with an argument about whiskey and an angry mom. See you then.
Hey Jeff, what type of editing software do you guys use? Over on this side is PNC Park, which is home of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Although they haven't been doing very well the last few seasons. Probably since the 90s that they haven't been doing too well. Okay, that's what I kind of figured you, since you had the Apple. I was curious there. That's the one thing I always like sit there and go, oh, they have YouTube camps for kids. It's like, why can't you have some YouTube workshops for adults? I think in the summertime over there, the one outdoor outfitters, they do kayaking stuff. And it also probably depends. Yeah, you could see them out on the river there. Yeah, I really haven't edited anything, and I really haven't downloaded anything to my computer or whatever, because a lot of times when I do, a lot of times I'm using my iPhone, or I just use my iPad. I don't really use my actual computer. I'm looking to get a laptop just to try that out to get on. But I don't really live stream from home unless I decide, like I'm probably going to do a Halloween pin and merchandise haul, and then a Galaxy's Edge merchandise haul live stream at home. But I'll probably just do that off of my iPad. But that's the Outdoor Adventures Outfitters. They have the kayaking. Also another area that you can do through LL Bean is they have an LL Bean store up in Ross Park Mall, and you can sign up for one of their kayaking things and you go to North Park and kayak there. And like I said, as you can see, we have a lot of bridges. Right now, this is the Rachel Carson Bridge, and it's under refurbishment. They did refurbish the Andy Warhol Bridge and the Roberto Clemente Bridge. And this white building with all the glass windows, that's the David L. Lawrence Convention Center. So that's the convention center here in Pittsburgh. That one building there's like different colors, multiple colors up right there close to the river. That is Kappa Art Music School for It's for students.
When I last left off, we were talking about the American Revolution. What happened after that? Don't know if you guys knew this about wars, but they are expensive. The Revolution, well, do you remember how I said the states spent a lot of time arguing amongst themselves over whether or not they felt like paying their taxes? Yeah, turns out the answer was usually not. The states were up to their eyeballs in war debts and had no way of paying it off. So the Treasury Secretary, Alexander Hamilton, persuaded the federal government to assume the state's debts and levy an excise tax on whiskey to generate the necessary
So you
revenue.
can kind of see.
That last part went over like a lead balloon. The protest started almost immediately, and the tax proved near impossible to collect. In 1791, when a collections officer was riding through his route in southwestern Pennsylvania, he saw
That's the
11
convention
women
center.
standing in the middle of the road.
And they do various types of conventions there. The big ones are the Pittsburgh Home Show, the car show. Car show used to be a lot bigger until they had an accident there where one of the cars fell through the floor.
Basically the same thing to him.
And sometimes they'll have a Comic-Con type of thing called the Steel Con there, but they also have a convention center out in Monroeville where a lot of different events happen out there. Plus then they do a home and sports show at a trailer show, RV show, I guess it would be. And they also do a Pittsburgh travel show. So if you're looking to get information on various stuff, you come to the Pittsburgh travel show. And this area that we're transitioning to is the Strip District. They have various shops and stuff that you can come shopping. You can come shopping 7 days a week. Some shops might not be open on Sundays. Saturdays is a very big day down there. But even during the weekday, you can come down. They have macaroni company, Italian shops. They have T-shirt shops, all kinds of different things. And there's some restaurants. And over there is the Heinz History Center.
Determined to avoid violence, the city sent out a delegation to inform the mob that the 3 letter writers had been expelled from the city. And also made them a peace offering. Multiple barrels of whiskey. By evening, the crowd was quite drunk and no longer inspired.
Yeah, we're getting ready to turn around, which I thought we would once we got past the convention center. That company, Bombardier, actually had helped with the Orlando Airport monorail system, and I believe they also helped with some of the actual monorails that are run. After all the years he had spent putting his life on the line. Yes, there are some good places.
He was not about to see the whole thing undone over an argument about food.
I don't really get there that often because I'm not out during the weekdays, and by the time Saturdays come around, I'm not up early. Not too early, but enough. But I do go down to a couple of the shops, and sometimes on my way home, or I get a Woolies fish sandwich sometimes. Over there used to be the Heinz factory and plant. I'm not sure if I think in a small part of it they still produce soups and stuff like that, but that's where the famous Heinz ketchup was once made, over in that area. Now it's a mixture of apartments, and I believe the one area is like the soup part of the company, but it's changed hands a few times.
With Washington's response, a success.
And if you keep going down the Allegheny River, it just continues on, or up the Allegheny River, because it actually flows down into the Ohio River. And then over here that we're looking at is the North Shore and the north side of Pittsburgh. There's some nice bike trails, so if you like bike riding and stuff, you can do a lot of the bike trails. Kind of an overcast day here in Pittsburgh.
One of our first major industries established in the 1790s was glass making. The sand at the bottom of the Allegheny River, which we are sailing on now, is of such fine quality it is perfect for the glass making process. At one point, Pittsburgh's glass industry produced 75% of all the glass in the United States. Shipwrights are also the usual pick for Pittsburgh. Back in the 1800s, there was what they called flatboats out on these rivers, basically miniature boats. Shaped to build to be carried reasonably large load, with the only downside being they couldn't find a current. No point trying to get upstream with those, it ain't gonna happen.
Yeah,
To go upstream, you need the keel boats.
on the holiday weekends like Memorial Day weekend and Labor Day weekend, if you have children, I'm not sure what the age range is, but they do offer a discounted price for your children.
The shipwright they had
I have seen it over the past years where they could ride for $2 or $1. I'm not sure what the actual price is because I had a coupon type of thing and then I got money off.
their
So.
own steamboat like Robert Fulton's New Orleans.
But I know some of the coupon books and stuff have different. I,
Iron is also in the industry for Pittsburgh. In 1860, we became known as the Iron City for having produced $800,000 worth
I think I am.
You are?
Yeah.
And thinking of the 1860s, some of you are probably curious as to why. Simply put,
Take it
we were the
Credit card.
arsenal
Yeah, I
of
can.
the Union.
because I thought I had.
And Foundry cast over 3,000 heavy cannons. The Allegheny Arsenal was the go-to place
There you are.
for Army and cavalry supplies, in addition to producing over 14 million rounds of ammunition per year. In spite of this strategic importance, there is no evidence that the Confederacy ever planned for an attack on the Pittsburgh may have helped the Union in the Civil
Do you want a receipt?
War. It started.
Yeah, if you can. It's not.
Do you want to email, text, or print?
Print it if you can do it. It'll be easier.
The Secretary of War, John D. Floyd, had ordered 5 cannons at the application.
There you are. Thank you. Have a good one.
You too.
His were immediately suspicious. Tensions between the North and the South had never been better. Always now at all times. Federal government accepted.
Sorry about it being shaky. It's kind of windy, so I'm trying to grab my hat and that before it blows away. So I'm sorry.
They asked him to countermand Floyd's order read for insurance, appealed to the Attorney General, Edwin Stanton, who was himself formerly a popular Pittsburgher.
Actually gonna step down below.
Thanks to Stanton, Floyd's order had been rescinded. The Secretary of War resigned.
Sorry about that.
Following the Civil War, Pittsburgh went roaring into the Industrial Revolution.
Sorry, it was kind of windy there.
What we made the name on the world stage as the Steel City. And there were 3 factors in particular that led there. The first of which was the introduction of the Western process in 1875, making the mass production of steel.
It got quite windy. I didn't want to lose my hat because it's not sure if it'll still be available
The second
and
factor
don't want to lose it.
was the expansion of the American railroads. In just 4 decades, the railroad
I'm gonna step
traffic in the
inside
United States
in a little
increased by
bit here.
800%, creating a
As soon as we pass the PNC Park.
to make rails and cars. The third and arguably most important factor was none other than Andrew Carnegie himself. He was born in Scotland, but his family emigrated to Pittsburgh when he was a little boy. Throughout his youth, he worked for the Pennsylvania Railroad Company, saving up his earnings and rising through the ranks before eventually leaving to start his own venture, Fulton Steel Mill Trade. His 2 mentors on the railroad helped build line.
And this is the Roberto Clemente Bridge. Right there is
Pennsylvania Railroad. Back before they had the whole
And that's PNC Park, home of the Pittsburgh Pirates. And this is all the North Shore. And there's a lot of different places to eat there. And you have the Science Center, you have the PNC Park, there's Heinz Field. You can also get tours of those. So you probably want to look them up online and see about tours if you're in the ball yards and football fields and stuff like that.
Carnegie's companies were producing more steel than the entire British Empire combined. Toward the end of his life, Carnegie turned his attention toward charity and philanthropy, part of an effort to give away his vast fortune before his death. In 1901, J.P. Morgan signed a deal to acquire Carnegie's assets for a sum of $480 million. It was the largest deal ever brokered in history up to that point, and it made Carnegie the richest man in the world.
Hello Dylan, welcome back. I just stepped inside for a moment.
Today, that deal would have been worth $14 billion.
It's getting kind of windy and I just need to put some stuff away that I had taken care of, but
Carnegie did succeed in his mission of getting away that immense fortune, by the way, putting most of it into trusts,
so I'm sorry it's
museums,
shaky.
schools, libraries. One of the reasons we have so many buildings named after him today. And he is not the only industrialist who made a fortune in Pittsburgh's past. In 1865, New York engineer George Westinghouse signed a deal. Got ahead of myself there. George Westinghouse relocated to Pittsburgh, and not long afterward patented what may be his most important invention, air brakes. Prior to that, if you worked as a brakeman on a train, you had to go from car to car, switching the brakes on manually, one at a time. If that sounds like really tedious and dangerous work, that's because it was. Train crashes were a lot more common back then. Casualties. Air brakes, however, meant the trains be built bigger, move faster, carry more freight, and be safer in general. Westinghouse also began experimenting with electricity. In 1888, he signed a deal to acquire the patent to Nikola Tesla's AC electrical power system. Tesla spent a year working out of the Westinghouse headquarters here in Pittsburgh. Unfortunately, the company was hit by a financial panic at the same time that Tesla became the victim of a vicious smear campaign from Thomas Edison. Forced to renegotiate the terms of the deal, Tesla agreed to absolve Westinghouse of paying him any royalties for his invention, past, present, or future, if it would mean bringing electricity to the masses. Some would call this Tesla's greatest regret, but in the end, he did what's right for humanity. Arguably, the most infamous of Pittsburgh's industrialists was Henry Clay Frick, once known as the most hated man in America. Frick got his start in 1870 building and operating coke ovens, an essential part of the steelmaking process. In the 1880s, he was made the chairman of Carnegie Brothers and Company, placed in charge of the day-to-day operations. And make no mistake, he was quite good at his job. He's presided over record profits, initiated far-reaching improvements, and bought out the company's main competitors at the Duquesne Steelworks. Frick also instigated the most violent labor confrontation in U.S. history. In the summer of 1892, the Amalgamated Association of Iron and Steel Workers came to the table for a routine contract renegotiation. Since Carnegie Steel was again experiencing record profits, the workers asked for a modest pay raise. Frick's counteroffer was a 20% pay cut. The workers went on strike at the Homestead Works, about 7 or 8 miles upriver on the Monongahela from here. Frick responded to the strike by locking the workers out of the factories and calling in 300 armed Pinkerton mercenaries to escort replacements in. The Pinkertons arrived at the works by barge on July 6th, where men lost their lives. Public opinion was initially on the side of the strikers, but less than a week later, a Russian-born anarchist named Alexander Berkman made an unsuccessful attempt on Frick's life in support of the strike. Unsuccessful, I am inclined to believe, because the bullets and dagger that he used were not made of silver. Berkman's failed assassination resulted only in a loss of sympathy for the Union's cause, giving Frick all the leverage he needed to dismantle the unions within the company and set the organized labor movement of the U.S. back by decades. In contrast, an industrialist who Pittsburghers will speak of with more positivity was Henry John Hines. He got his start in 1860 with his first food packing and processing company. Unfortunately, the unstable markets back then resulted in a financial panic that forced him to shut down his business and declare bankruptcy. He worked hard to pay off the debts, however, and in 1880 he reopened his company. 2 years later, he moved the plant to the North Shore, where it became famous for its enlightened treatment of employees, especially women, even by today's standards. Hines also sent one of his sons down to Washington, D.C. to help President Teddy Roosevelt lobby for the clean food laws, which guarantee that all food prepared, packaged, and served within the U.S. jurisdiction must abide by a federal standard of sanitation with no additives that could be injurious to health. By all accounts, Henry John Hines was that rarest of individuals, an industrial titan who was also a stand-up guy. Right now, we are coming up on the last stretch of our tour together, so if you all wouldn't mind indulging me, take this time now to look around you and imagine that nothing of the modern world currently surrounds our boat. That the year is 1717. That year, a French fur trader named Michael Bazallion first sailed up La Belle Riviere, what we now call the Ohio River. His journal contains the first written reference to the forks of the Ohio, in which he describes a pristine wilderness. 3 rivers full of fish, a mountain to his right, a chain of islands to the left, rolling hills and forests filled with game as far as the eye can see. It is virtually a paradise. Let's take a step forward in time now to the mid-1760s. The French and Indian War is over. England controls this territory now. Over at the point, there stands a giant,
That's the casino,
intimidating stone
the Rivers
pentagon,
Casino over there.
Fort Pitt.
That particular
The area
building.
around it is being cleared to make room for log cabins. In addition to the soldiers stationed at the fort, 700 people call this little frontier settlement their home. Step forward in time again. Now the year is 1816, the year that Pittsburgh is officially chartered as a city. Much has changed in the century since Michael Bazallion first encountered this region. Fort Pitt is gone. The log cabins have been replaced by larger, more permanent structures of stone, brick and mortar, and wood. Factories now line the banks of the rivers in all directions, producing iron and glass, while coal is mined from the nearby hills. Some days, all
As you can
those
see, all
factories
the
produce
debris
enough
down
smoke
in
that
the
it
river
actually
there.
blocks out the sky a little bit.
The water's actually kind of high because of the rain and everything.
Another step ahead in time. April the 11th, 1845. The city in front of you is devastated. The Great Fire tore through Pittsburgh yesterday. 1/3 of the city vanished overnight. 2/3 of the manufacturing facilities now lie in ruins. 800 homes have been consumed in the blaze. Millions of dollars in property all around us are still smoking and smoldering. As people comb through the wreckage, trying to take account of the casualties and damages, the question on everybody's mind is, where do we go from here? Another step ahead in time to 1903. Pittsburgh is rebuilt and regrown since the fire. The islands along the banks of the Allegheny River have been filled in and made part of the mainland. In their place now stands Exposition Park, Pittsburgh's first baseball stadium. And we have arrived just in time to hear the first pitch of the first World Series, in which the Pittsburgh Pirates face off against the Boston Red Sox. There are now more factories and mills along the banks of the rivers than ever before. The smoke has become omnipresent, and the air is filled with an unpleasant odor and the ringing sound of metal on metal as trains race down the rails and inclines lurch up and down the mountains, carrying freight and passengers.
Hello, Amanda of the Lucky Minute. Thank
Another
you for
time
joining.
skip.
We're getting ready
1943.
to. I'm actually on
World War
the
II
Gateway
is
Clipper tour.
raging, and Pittsburgh has been
It's
named
coming
the arsenal of
to the end, but it'll
democracy.
take another 15 minutes to
The factories
dock
and
the
mills
boat.
now operate 24
Over
hours
there
a day.
is Heinz Field,
I would tell you to look around, but
and that's the city
this
of
point,
Pittsburgh. That's straight ahead there where
there's
the
really
fountain
not much to
is,
see.
and that's the
The
Monongahela
smog
River.
now covers
That's the
everything like a
Allegheny
dirty
River,
blanket.
and we're actually sitting on
And
the
what you
Ohio
can see
River,
through it is
and that's Point State Park
not
ahead.
very appealing.
So thank you for joining. Make sure you hit the like button
The rivers are now clogged with
and
pollution.
subscribe if you
No fish can live in
are
these
new
waters.
to the channel.
Downtown itself has become congested, deteriorated, and polluted, still bearing scars of the flood from 1935. In just a few years, 30 miles upriver from here in Donora, Pennsylvania, there will be an environmental catastrophe, and people will die because of the factory emissions. The very same industries that allowed Pittsburgh to grow.
That's what powers the Clipper boat. It's called the Gateway Clipper Fleet, and each of their fleet has
And now
different
a final
names.
step forward in
We're
time
actually on the
2019
River Queen.
today. The factories and mills are all but gone. Some people still work in manufacturing, but not many. The city itself is cleaned up significantly. Fresh air, clean rivers. Mount Washington once again covered
Where
in
the
vegetation.
submarine is, that's where the Carnegie Science Center is located,
Our
and you can
modern
actually
industries
tour
today
that
are medicine,
submarine whenever
education,
you go to visit the
technology, and
Science Center.
finance. Our world-class hospitals employ thousands of doctors, nurses, researchers, and administrators, while students from around the world compete for seats at our universities and remain. Innovations that are changing the world in medicine, technology, and robotics are all being developed here in this city, where there once stood only desolate factories and abandoned warehouses. The land that European settlers first encountered is gone. It will never return. But in its place stands Pittsburgh, the Iron City, the Steel City. We will always bear those names as we remember and celebrate our past. Of course, as I'm sure you all know, the past is other people's memories that you read about in books. Or, in this particular case, something that you discover while sitting on a riverboat, looking out over a region that Michael Bazallion first encountered over 300 years ago. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes how Pittsburgh became Pittsburgh. In a few minutes, we will be approaching the Gateway Clipper docks to disembark. Myself and a few other members of the crew will be there at the docks to wish you a happy farewell as you depart. As a token of our appreciation, the crew will be handing out BOGO coffee coupons for our cafe at the docks, and for the kids, That coupon will get you a free Iris treasure out of the cafe treasure chest. If you have not yet had a chance to look over your boarding photos, there's a kiosk at the docks where you can check them out, or you can view them at our website, gatewayclipper.com/photos. Naturally, all forms of gratitude are accepted and deeply appreciated. So, on behalf of myself and the rest of the crew of the Three Rivers Queen, I would like to thank you all once more for coming out to join us today, and I hope the rest of your holiday today remains sunny and beautiful, courtesy of the Gateway Clipper. Thank you.
We'll come over this side so you can just kind of see the south side of the city of Pittsburgh, called the south side. This is more industrial on this side of the city. But you can just kind of see the shoreline. And they have an incline right there. That's the Duquesne incline. And then there's the Mon incline, which is further down. And there is a walkway. If you go to the Duquesne incline, though, it's more, there are restaurants and stuff, more fancier restaurants. And there is a couple overlooks right there, but the other side you can do more walking along the Grandview Avenue up there. And that's the Fort Pitt Tunnel and Bridge right there. I'm gonna go inside and go to the other side real quick. In fact, I'm gonna go down to the bottom level. Different levels. Never really been on this particular boat before, or this particular cruise. Some of their cruise, the fall season, you'd have to check their website and see what they have available. But I know they do. And if you actually happen to just lag, make sure you refresh the stream and make sure the red button is red that you're live. But they also have it might have been crowded earlier. This was their 3:30 showing, so, and it could have been crowded over the weekend since it's Monday and people are probably getting ready to get back into the swing of things of school and work and everything. Up on the upper deck it was kind of crowded. But not too crowded, overly crowded. I've seen it where it's been busy. You can also rent these boat, or one of the fleets out for weddings. I know some high schools do their proms on them, and other various radio stations do different fundraiser cruises, or even like a second chance prom type of thing. I know they have the dinner cruises for like Mother's Day and Father's Day. On Sundays they have a family day cruise, and they do some events for kids. And then just your regular sightseeing cruises. In the summertime they have more of an evening schedule too, but they you'd have to check their website once the fall comes, because they may only operate on limited times. And sometimes I don't really get out on here that often. This is probably the first time in about a year that I've been on here. If I have friends or somebody that's coming to town, I'll go on it, or we may decide as a family. That's not too bad, and that's pretty good to know that, because I was wondering how that would be, because I know at other points on places I lagged, like being out on the water or not in an area. But that's actually our downtown Pittsburgh. This side of the city, you can't really see it, but the arena, the hockey arena, which is on the behind where that UPNC building is. But once the winter and the Christmas season, holiday season comes, I do have a video of the Christmas markets, but I know I'll definitely be going down there because it's always fun to look around, and I've done the ice skating at PPG. And the holiday Christmas trees. They're actually getting ready to dock on and they have like five boats available. And I'll probably show you the sign. But this is the end of the cruise. I'm just making sure I'm not going to turn off until I get off the boat, but just make sure you guys all have hit the like button, and if you're new, please subscribe. That would be much appreciated. I'm just gonna set you down. You can see the paddle wheel there. I'm just setting it down for a second so I can get some stuff together, so I do apologize that it's kind of and where they let you off at is an area called Station Square area. Station Square used to have a lot of shops. I believe they're remodeling or redesigning the concept of that. But they used to have some freight house shops and various other places. There's still restaurants and some bars. But this is one of the areas. This is probably one of their smaller boats. And then they have a larger fleet. And then they even have some smaller ones that they use for shuttling people to the Pirates or Steeler games. But this is the dock area. And you can see some people still around. That's one of their fleets there. It's called the Empress. And I'll take a walk along the dock here. That way you could see some of the other fleets. And then I'll see if they have a brochure that you could see what other cruises they may have. But yeah, this wasn't too crowded. I've been on here when it has been a lot crowded. Yeah, thank you for joining. This was the Gateway Clipper Fleet. It was an hour-long sightseeing tour and history tour of the city of Pittsburgh. And you actually cross a gangplank there. And that's the other fleet. I'll take a walk down further and you can see some of the other ones. Thank you.
How many were in your photo? Four?
And this is the ticket window where you can reserve online. I don't see any brochures, but this is some of the other scheduled cruises that they have. The last one, it looks like, is at 4:45. And they have a 6, 7:15, and an 8:31. It just looks like they just have the sightseeing cruises today. I don't see some of the other ones.
Where's the coffee shop?
In the building. These are some of the other boats that they use. And you can get snacks and refreshments while you're waiting for your cruise. And then they also have like a souvenir shop and restrooms and a coffee shop. But I can't go down any further because it's but you can see some of the other ones. I believe that one down there is the largest of the fleet. And I've been on that for several things. One of the companies I work for, they actually took 2 of these particular boats and tied them together, and that way everybody could fit. And they would go down the river and they would have music, a DJ, and food and stuff. We'll just take a walk in here and then I'll end the stream. Oh, thank you. They have a small gift shop. And they have like a pirate cruise. You can buy other souvenirs, coffee mugs, pirate flags, and if you want the infamous captain's hats, magnets and keychains. And the sailor hats. And I actually have some pirate. Oops, excuse me. And there's some like fish and ducks down there.
I am right-handed. I already did my right. Ready, boss? Hey, good girl. I wonder if there's any cards in here.
called Carp Cove. That's the carp fish. You actually go north of Pittsburgh to an area called up by Conneaut Lake called Linesville. They have an area where it's a spillway and all these carp are stuck down in the spillway. Some can actually swim out or they fish them out of there and put them back into the regular lake. And you feed them, but the ducks, there's just so many of them, and when you throw the bread and stuff down into, they just go nuts. Bye, this is our dream. I will talk to you later or soon or sometime down the road there. Have a good week. We'll go up here and I'll end the stream. That's like a painting and mural of all the Pittsburgh Steelers from the various years. That somebody has painted. And the Pittsburgh Penguins when they won all their Stanley Cups. And all just the different sponsors. One thing about Pittsburgh, that's why the Fort Pitt area was big in the French and Indian War, so that's why they show a lot of that. Terry Bradshaw and Franco Harris and Roberto Clemente. Yeah, kids 12 and under were $1 today, and it's usually Memorial Day, 4th of July, and Labor Day weekends. But I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. I do thank everyone for joining. Please like the stream. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe.
I'm a real Pittsburgher. I want to say thank you for putting on the video.
You're welcome. Sorry about that. But please like the stream. If you're new and watching the replay, please consider subscribing. I do thank you for joining the Gateway Clipper Fleet Pittsburgh City Tour. And let the adventures begin. And everyone have a great week. Thank you very much. Bye.